Have you ever seen someone walk into a party or a meeting and they just own the room? It's like they connect with everyone so effortlessly, like they were born with some kind of secret social superpower. But what if it's not a superpower? What if it's actually a set of skills? Skills that anyone can learn? Well, that's exactly the promise of Leil Lowndes' book, How to Talk to Anyone. And today, we're going to deconstruct its most powerful ideas. Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to break down how to make an absolutely unforgettable first impression, and you can do it without saying a single word. Then, we'll get into mastering the art of small talk. After that, we got to ask the big question. Are these techniques authentic or do they feel kind of fake? And finally, we'll pull it all together into a modern toolkit that you can actually use. So here's the thing. Before you even say hello, people have already started forming an opinion about you. And that's not being cynical. It's just how our brains are wired. We make these instant snap judgments to make sense of the world. Lowndes argues that if you want to succeed in any interaction, mastering your nonverbal cues, your body language, is the absolute #1 place to start. And this quote just nails it. Your posture, the way you smile, how you hold eye contact, all of these things are shouting a story about you. Before you get the chance to show how smart or funny you are, your body has already delivered the opening chapter. So the question is, how do you make sure it's telling a great story? Well, here are two of the book's most famous and frankly most powerful techniques. First up is the flooding smile. See, Lowndes tells this story about her friend Missy, whose smile was so fast it seemed a little fake. But when she took over her family's company, she learned to pause for a second, really look at the person, and then let a huge, warm smile spread across her face. That one tiny change transformed Missy into CEO Melissa. Then you pair that with sticky eyes, just holding your gaze a moment longer, and you create this incredibly powerful feeling of connection. But what's really fascinating is the why behind all this. It's not about being a good actor. It's about tapping into a deep human need we all have, the desire to feel seen. The flooding smile and sticky eyes send a clear signal that says, in this moment, you have my complete attention. In a world where everyone's distracted, that simple act makes people feel important. It makes them feel valued. All right, so you've nailed the body language. You walk in, you've got the great posture, the warm smile, but now comes the part that so many of us dread, the actual conversation. That awkward pause after the hellos can feel like an eternity, right? Well, Lowndes gives us some simple, really practical tools to keep things flowing. And honestly, one of the best tools is called parroting. It sounds almost too easy to actually work. All you do is you take the last 2 or 3 words the other person said and you say them back as a question. It's brilliant because it does 2 things at once. It proves you're listening and it nudges them to keep talking, which takes all the pressure off you to think of something new to say. And check this out. This is how simple it is in real life. They say, I had such a busy day. You just go, a busy day? And boom, they're off telling you everything about it. They mention a trip to the Alps. You say, the Alps? And suddenly you're hearing all about their vacation. It keeps the spotlight on them and makes them feel really heard. And you start to see this pattern throughout the book, right? It's about taking these normal, everyday social things we do and just adding a little layer of intention. Instead of just introducing 2 people, give them a little nugget to talk about. Instead of a generic thanks, you specify exactly what you're thankful for. These are small tweaks, but they make a huge difference in creating real connection. Okay, we've seen how powerful these tools can be, but this is where we have to pump the brakes a little and ask a really important question. With all this focus on technique and strategy, where does being your authentic self fit in? When does smart communication start to feel like a performance, or worse, like manipulation? I mean, this is the central pushback against books like this, isn't it? If you're consciously thinking, okay, now I'm going to deploy my flooding smile, or time to parrot their last few words, are you actually present in the conversation? Are you genuinely connecting? Or are you just running a social program designed to make people like you? So on the one hand, the book promises this clear, almost mathematical formula for social success. But on the other, critics point out that some of this advice was written for a pre-internet world. A technique that might have worked perfectly in a 1990s boardroom in New York might not translate well to a Zoom call with a team in Tokyo. There's a risk it can feel a bit dated or culturally out of touch. And here's the real danger. If you apply these techniques like a robot, just going through the motions without any real feeling behind it, you run a huge risk of coming across as slick or manipulative. People have a pretty good radar for fakeness. And maybe even worse, you can start to feel inauthentic, like you're playing a character instead of just being yourself. So where does that leave us? Do we just toss all these ideas out the window? Absolutely not. The trick is to figure out how to use these powerful insights without falling into that authenticity trap. We need to build a modern toolkit where we apply these ideas with a new level of awareness. And the key is a simple but profound shift in perspective. Stop thinking of these as a list of rules you have to follow to win a social game. Start seeing them as tools. Tools that help you focus your attention outward. Tools that help you build empathy and actually understand the person you're talking to. The goal shifts from trying to get people to like you to getting better at genuinely understanding and appreciating them. So here's a really simple way to do that, a 3-step path. Step 1, learn a technique. Let's say it's echoing, using the same kinds of words your conversation partner uses. Step 2, understand its purpose. The reason it works is that it makes people feel understood, like you're on the same wavelength. And then step 3, apply it genuinely. You don't just mimic them, you use their words because you are truly trying to see the world through their eyes. And if you look at it this way, the techniques themselves, they're just a small piece of the puzzle. The real heavy lifting is done by your authenticity, who you really are, and your empathy, that genuine curiosity about other people. And of course, context is key. The techniques are there to serve your empathy, not the other way around. Okay, let's make this super practical. Here are 3 little habits you can literally start today. First, for your posture, every single time you walk through a doorway, imagine a string is pulling you up from your teeth. It's a silly image, I know, but it instantly makes you stand taller. Second, in your very next conversation, just try to pair it one time, just once. See what happens. And third, the next time you say thank you, make it specific. Add a for and say exactly what you appreciate. And that kind of brings us to the big takeaway here. After looking at all these clever tricks and techniques and strategies, maybe the greatest social hack of all isn't a hack. What if the most profound and effective thing you can do to connect with anyone is to simply learn how to quiet your own mind and truly, deeply pay attention to the person standing right in front of you?